So one of the things that we hear all the time from the far right is this notion that Democrats want to use schools as indoctrination centers and little propaganda factories, and they want to, push gender ideology on the kids, and they want to lie to them and preach a liberal or leftist worldview as if that's the only way to view things. And one of the things that I think is a fair criticism is the 1619 Project was this big thing, and come to find out, there are actually a bunch of factual inaccuracies in it. So if there are districts that push that narrative, that's misleading and you shouldn't do that. But, here's the most important point. The idea that these people on the right are paragons of teaching objective history and people on the left are, propagandists and indoctrinators, well, nothing could be further from the truth, because look at this story from the Associated Press. Some Texas schools may call slavery involuntary relocation. This is being discussed and debated right now. Involuntary relocation. Wow. Public schools in Texas would describe slavery to second graders as involuntary relocation under new social studies standards proposed to the state's education board. Now, this is not propaganda. This is not indoctrination into American exceptionalism. This is not whitewashing our history of the negative things, right? A group of 9 educators submitted the idea to the State Board of Education as part of Texas's efforts to develop new social studies curriculum, according to the Texas Tribune. The once-a-decade process updates what children learn in the state's nearly 8,900 public schools. The board is considering curriculum changes 1 year after Texas passed a law to eliminate topics from schools that make students, quote, feel discomfort. Hold on. There are many uncomfortable topics to discuss if you're giving an objective retelling of American history. Look, there's good things and there's bad things, and all of them should be taught. Whether it's Native American genocide, slavery, Jim Crow, those are all terrible. You know what's wonderful? The Civil Rights Movement, the New Deal. Clearly, what the right wants to do is downplay the negative, play up the positive, and indoctrinate people into American exceptionalism. And the irony is, these are the same people who call people on the left snowflakes, right? As snowflakes, all you care about is your feelings. And then they literally passed a law to eliminate topics that make students feel discomfort. Yeah, but what if the thing you're feeling discomfort about is just true? Then they shouldn't teach that topic? Unbelievable. Board member Aisha Davis, a Democrat who represents Dallas and Fort Worth, raised concerns during a June 15th meeting that the term wasn't a fair representation of the slave trade. The board sent the draft back for revision, urging the educator group to carefully examine the language used to describe events. I can't say what their intention was, but that's not going to be acceptable, Davis told the Texas Tribune on Thursday. Part of the proposed draft standards obtained by the Texas Tribune say students should compare journeys to America, including voluntary Irish immigration and involuntary relocation of African people during colonial times. Texas public education system has been heavily politicized in recent years, with lawmakers passing legislation to dictate how race and slavery should be taught in schools and conservative groups pouring large amounts of money into school board races. Texas drew attention for a similar situation in 2015 when a student noticed wording in a textbook that referred to slaves who were brought to America as workers. The book's publisher apologized and promised to increase the number of textbook reviewers it uses. What is there to say about this? I have another story, similar topic, another story later with a different school district and what they're doing. But just understand, the propaganda is heavy. People don't want to be honest. People don't want to be direct. People don't want to be as objective as possible. Everybody has a political viewpoint, and they're trying to force that political viewpoint on the general public and on the children. So, hypocrites everywhere. That's for damn sure. Look, in my opinion, and you guys know I've talked about this a number of times before, in my opinion, the way things should be taught is just as objective as possible, and it's probably impossible to get perfect objectivity, but it'd be as objective as possible and as fair as possible. And look, teach all the bad stuff and all the good stuff, and all the nuance and the gray area that comes along with that. You have to embrace the gray area. You have to embrace things, agnosticism in a sense. No value judgment, just describing what is. And that's all you can do in a school district. But unfortunately, this is an attempt to prop up the notion of American exceptionalism, which is quickly dying for obvious reasons, because it's so clear we're in an empire in severe decline. They're trying to prop that notion up and hiding the ball in the process. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.